It is perfectly reasonable to express your grievances or critiques about any form of entertainment. You shouldn't need a PhD level knowledge of filmmaking to point out the inherent problems with a story or adequately explain why a bad movie or show doesn't work. It's also perfectly within reason to not be excited for something or look at what's been presented via promotional material and think, I don't think this is for me, or this isn't really what I'm looking for. That doesn't seem to be the case in regards to the most prominent hate for this upcoming Superman movie, because for some reason these people come up with the most mind-boggling complaints in an attempt to try and bring this movie down. I don't understand the internet's obsession with wanting something to be bad or bashing a movie or show before it's even fully released. If you want to lay out your problems for a formal review of a movie after it comes out, by all means go ahead and cook up something good. But there's a clear difference between complaining about something after you have the full context, after the finished product is set in stone. Don't get it twisted. It's not a vast majority of people who have some hate boner for James Gunn's Superman or anything. If you actually interacted with regular people and got out of the comic book social media space for a second, you'll know that most general audiences seem to respond well to the two trailers that have been released thus far. Even in the social media space, most of the reception to the movie's promotional material has been positive. And if the movie is complete booty cheeks, then people should have every right to call out its flaws, rather than defend it out of bias simply because they want the DCU to succeed. But the way some of these people are bitching and moaning about Superman makes you think they already saw the movie. See, I could have sworn a common complaint about Henry Cavill's depiction of Superman was that he was too stoic and didn't have enough of an emotional reaction to certain events, according to some people. I thought y'all were saying he didn't smile enough or didn't convey enough of a grand sense of optimism and compassion for humanity. The trailers for the new Superman movie show a Superman that does showcase more of a personality and his desire in wanting to help humanity despite any political ramifications that might be a result of his actions. But now Superman is too emotional? Now he's acting like an immature man baby, or is more akin to that of Homelander?
You sound like a bitch. Like a bitch! You know what?
You mean to tell me you don't think it's reasonable to be frustrated by the fact that you have the capability to save lives, but you catch flack because you didn't get permission from the president? In an ideal world, you shouldn't have to worry about the permission of others if you know lives are in danger, or how that would affect your public image. When people are in need, you take action because that's what heroes do. Have y'all never watched a comic book movie before? While this isn't an origin story, this is still an unseasoned Superman. This takes place during his earlier years as a hero. Superman came about with the sole purpose of guiding and protecting humanity. Of course he's going to be heated if they're trying to essentially gatekeep him to the US. You don't know the entire context of the scene between Lois and Clark in the official trailer. Apparently they shot a 12-minute scene of Lois interviewing Clark. From what we know, based on the snippets and the cut-up version of that scene we only saw bits and pieces of, Clark rightfully assumed that the love of his life would go easy on him and be on his side, as he willfully suggested the idea of Lois interviewing him as Superman. But someone like Lois doesn't play like that. She's willing to ask the tough questions when the opportunity presents itself. What's even funnier about people criticizing David Corenswet's Superman for being frustrated over accusations of representing a nation just for saving people in a foreign conflict is that Superman and Lois tackled a very similar issue. Superman wasn't okay with the government getting on his ass for saving a North Korean submarine from sinking. The director of the Department of Defense wanted Superman to join his team to only protect the United States. When Superman refused his offer, the director went ahead and made his own team called the Supermen of America to aid the United States Army, and Superman wasn't pleased.
I was just trying to save lives.
Sure. You rescued a North Korean submarine, a nuclear one. Couldn't you have just dropped it by American soil? We seem to keep having these issues communicating. But if I can't get your firm commitment that American interests come first,
I will continue to do everything I can to help the DoD.
that's not a commitment. They're from our school.
Your school. They're not ready for what's out there in the world.
It's not your call.
What you asked for was my allegiance to America.
America needs to come first.
Because I gave it to the world a long time ago. That crest you put on their suit, it's not yours to give.
That's the most recognizable symbol on the planet. I want everyone to know that we're the good guys. America can have more than one Superman.
And the Superman in that show is a seasoned veteran. He's the father of 2 teenage twin boys. So is it still problematic that this Superman had a negative reaction to how the US government responded to his willingness to help others despite their native origin?
I didn't think so.
From what we saw in the trailer, it seems like what Superman got involved in is so much bigger than something akin to just stopping a single nuclear submarine.
My actions? I stopped a war.
Maybe.
Not maybe, I did.
I mean, it's gotta be pretty significant to attract the attention of the Secretary of Defense and shift the public opinion on Superman in the universe. Not to mention, you see other heroes like Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner on the site as well. These people act as if under no circumstances Superman should be allowed to convey any level of frustration when it comes to the government.
Give me one good reason not to go down there and take them out.
We don't have hard evidence that they've committed any crimes.
We should put more energy into proving it and less into acting like a bunch of hyperthyroid stormtroopers. Batman said I was supposed to keep you guys honest.
Do I look like Batman to you?
But we have to keep a cool head.
They came after us. We have to hit them back hard.
Lex Luthor in Justice League Unlimited during his run for presidency built a functional urban area for low-income Americans named Lexor City. Superman falsely accused Lex of planting a bomb underground during an outdoor charity event. Lex claimed it was just an experimental fusion engine that would supply free energy to the people residing in that area. Captain Marvel tried to calm down Superman, but things quickly escalated to the point where they had a fight that destroyed the entire block. Granted, it was a setup by Luthor for Superman to destroy the engine, but Superman crashing out against Captain Marvel was just the icing on the cake.
The plan worked better than I'd hoped, demolishing Lexor City while those media morons filmed every horrific moment. Everything's going according to plan.
On the surface, it might reflect poorly on Superman because he was on Captain Marvel's case since the beginning of the episode.
When you joined this team, you became something more than just a hero. A symbol that represents all of us. And we don't get involved in politics.
I never said that I was endorsing Luthor, just that I think it's great that someone like him can change into a good guy.
You are not to make any more public statements without running them past the League first.
You were a little hard on the Boy Scouts, don't you think?
Why is everyone defending him?
We like him. He's sunny.
You know, media illiteracy levels are off the charts when the takeaway some people have from the Lois and Clark interview is that Clark is insecure or immature about his actions. Don't you guys just hate it when men get all up in their feelings and insecure because they prevented the deaths of however many people, but instead of being praised, they get backlash due to international politics and are mistaken for representing a nation instead of just themselves? Like, get over yourself, dude. It's not that big a deal.
People were going to die!
You can clearly tell when people actively look for something that's wrong when it isn't there just to partake in the minority stigma. Get a load of this clown. This is literally not how a Green Lantern works. Constructs doesn't just appear from thin air. I don't even have to say pick up a comic book to know how delusional of a statement that is. Which adaptation of Green Lantern in any form of entertainment has ever established that constructs created by the Ring must remain tethered to it in some way? Like, that's a serious question. The complexity and intricacy of the constructs themselves can vary from lantern to lantern. Jon Stewart's constructs, for example, are more detailed because they're built from the inside out due to him being an architect. Kyle Rayner was an artist before he joined the Green Lantern Corps, so his constructs are more emblematic of that. You'll see all types of established lanterns use their constructs in a multitude of ways, clearly showing that it doesn't have to conform to the specific idea a non-comic reader might be fixated on. Over 12,000 likes for a straight up lie. Y'all ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Oh, this one's one of my favorites. This woman would be absolutely dead, by the way, if this wasn't a cartoon of a movie. Like, obliterated. She just got hit by a 6'3" bullet. So now y'all care about realistic physics in superhero movies? Because that's totally a reasonable thing to complain about when the titular character is the epitome of defying physics. I don't ever remember flying into space, breaking the sound barrier, and having heat vision being an element of realism. This line of thinking could be applied to any speedster that relocates civilians from danger. At this point, y'all are just running out of things to complain about. I hope to continue my mission of defending Superman as a character from moronic and bad faith criticism. It's gotten to a point where people are just purposefully misreading elements, cherry picking, and hating on a movie before it even comes out. Classic internet, am I right? If the movie is bad, then it's bad. But that will never automatically validate the nonsense people were spewing to dunk on the movie out of spite and not actual genuine concern. You can hyperfixate on the negatives of a movie because it's filled with plot contrivances, plot holes, inconsistencies, pacing issues, bad dialogue. You know, the usual stuff. That's all good and dandy. But this just comes off as sad, man. These are nitpicks at best if we're giving them the benefit of the doubt. But hey, you do you, I guess.